What you need to know about processed foods and why it's so hard to quit them. Have you ever wondered about what goes into the food you buy from the grocery store? Are you making conscious choices about whether the items you pick are processed or natural? These are important questions because the types of foods we consume daily play a crucial role in our overall health. Processed foods, in particular, have raised concerns due to their potential link to chronic conditions like heart disease, diabetes, and certain cancers. Despite this, many of us find it incredibly difficult to cut processed foods from our diets. But why? Let's dive deep into the world of processed foods and explore why they're so hard to quit. What exactly are processed foods? Processed foods are any raw food products that have been altered from their natural state, but not all processed foods are created equal. There's a wide spectrum that ranges from minimally processed items like bagged spinach to highly processed foods like sugary cereals or frozen pizzas. Dr. Michael Garcia, a nutrition expert from UCLA Health, points out that processed foods aren't inherently bad. For instance, freezing fruits and vegetables at their peak freshness is a form of processing that preserves their nutrients, making them a great option for a healthy diet. On the other hand, many processed foods undergo extensive changes during preparation, such as canning, baking, or drying, and these often involve the addition of high levels of salt, sugar, and unhealthy fats. It's this high degree of processing and the inclusion of unhealthy additives that can contribute to health problems. The challenge for consumers is to distinguish between minimally processed, healthy options and highly processed foods that are detrimental to long-term health. Why processed foods are so hard to quit. One of the biggest challenges in cutting processed foods from our diet is that they are, quite simply, addictive. Additives like sugar, salt, and fats trigger reward centers in the brain. Dr. Garcia explains that when we taste a food that is rich in sugar or salt, our brain interprets that sensation as good and craves more. This, combined with the power of advertising, reinforces our desire for processed foods, creating a cycle of consumption that is tough to break. Processed foods are designed to be hyper-palatable. That's why fast food chains and packaged snack companies spend billions of dollars on advertising. These ads target our emotional response, making us crave foods that we know aren't the best for us. The combination of easily accessible processed food and constant marketing makes quitting processed foods a real struggle for most people. The impact of processed foods on health. The health risks associated with consuming a diet high in processed foods are well documented. Processed foods are often loaded with unhealthy ingredients that contribute to serious health conditions. Many processed foods contain unhealthy fats, particularly trans fats and saturated fats. These types of fats contribute to inflammation in the body and are linked to the development of heart disease. Why healthier foods are more expensive. One of the reasons people gravitate toward processed foods is cost. Healthier, whole foods like fresh fruits, vegetables, and organic meats are often more expensive than their processed counterparts. This price gap makes it difficult for people, especially those in lower-income households, to switch to a healthier diet. Fast food and processed meals are not only cheaper, but also more convenient. They don't spoil as quickly, and they are often more accessible in food deserts, areas where fresh food options are scarce. As Dr. Garcia points out, many people don't have the luxury of growing their own food, so they turn to what's most affordable and convenient, which often means processed items. How to transition from processed to natural foods. Switching from a processed food-heavy diet to one focused on natural and minimally processed foods can be daunting, but it's not impossible. Hani Park, a registered dietitian, recommends starting small. One of the best ways to begin this transition is by creating a food diary. This will help you identify the processed foods you're consuming regularly and allow you to make mindful choices about what to cut back on. Look for foods with shorter ingredient lists. A general rule of thumb is that the fewer the ingredients, the closer the food is to its natural state. For example, when buying peanut butter, you want the ingredient list to only include peanuts. The same principle applies to frozen vegetables or fruits. If the ingredient list contains only the produce itself, it's a better option. Redefining your relationship with food. It's important to acknowledge that changing your diet is not just about cutting out processed foods. It's about redefining your relationship with food. Many people are conditioned from childhood to eat fast food and packaged snacks, so making the shift to natural foods often requires rethinking how we approach meals altogether. One way to break the cycle is by preparing meals at home more often. Home cooking allows you to control exactly what goes into your food, from the ingredients to the portion sizes. You can use fresh herbs and spices to add flavor, without relying on the excess salt and preservatives found in processed foods. Over time, you'll find that the taste of natural, whole foods becomes more appealing than the artificial flavors of processed meals. Conclusion: processed foods are everywhere, and the convenience, taste, and low cost make them hard to resist. However, by understanding the effects of these foods on our health and learning how to choose better options, we can start making more informed choices. While quitting processed foods may feel difficult at first, taking small steps like reading labels, cooking at home, and being mindful of what you consume can have a big impact. Remember, a healthier lifestyle begins with awareness and the willingness to make gradual changes. Stay tuned to Health Haven for more tips and insights on living your healthiest life.